And with that, I'm going to cover Helck really quickly. Helck, one of the sort of standout series during our previews, I think people kind of pointed it out. It is a manga original by Nanaki. This is his first and currently only work so far as a manga. This is an anime that has was produced by Satellite Studios. I don't think I have to list what Satellite has done. They're a very veteran studios by now, has done everything under the moon or under the sun. Their most recent work, I believe, was Roku no Onatachi, which was a one of the spring season anime. Um, and they also, in this series at least, they got a decent amount of background art help from Studio Tulip and T2 Studios. Both studios are quite well known for their sort of assistance in other anime productions and stuff like that. So, especially Studio Tulip. So, you guys should have heard the names here and there. Um, Staff is composed of various veterans, like most of them are pretty big pretty big veterans of the trade. um, it's likely that this sort of crew was formed together by obviously Tatsuo Sato in conjunction with some satellite producers, and they kind of pulled from their connections to various places. It kind of looks like they mainly drew from again Studio Tulip, who they were subcontracting, as well as some of their Symphogear connections, some of their other places where they work, like Production IG and Studio Dean connections, stuff like that, to create this final crew. Director, obviously, again, as I just mentioned, is Sato Tatsuo, who worked with Satellite on stuff like Moretsu Pirates, Bodacious Space Pirates, the miniskirt pirate kind of stuff, as well as Mado no to Vanadis, Lord Vanadis, or Vanadis and like Lord Marksman and the Vanadis or whatever it was. He also did Atom at the Beginning with another studio. I forget who did Atom at the Beginning, but yeah. Again, a bunch of other veterans in place. Scenario Mitsutaka Hirota or Hirota Mitsutaka, Nemoto Toshiso. Again, they've worked on everything from Prince of Tennis to stuff like Durara and Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Music, Hirano Yoshihisa, one of you know huge veterans again in the industry. Worked on Death Note, Eden Zero, Hunter x Hunter, Oron High School Coast Club. Art director Iwase Eiji, a part of contracted under Studio Tulip, worked on stuff like Guns and Panzer movies, Kankole, No Game No Life, Deno Yoshinori animation character design, another big veteran. Takamatsu Shinji, again another veteran. He did sound director for Gintama, and he's also had like directorial and storyboard experience as well. Director of photography, Shimura Tsuyoshi from T2 Studio, who did Symphogear, Tale of Two Memories or whatever it was, Mario Holic Season 2, stuff like that, and art setting again, Takiguchi Katsuhisa from Studio Tulip, who did, who's a huge director. He has similar kind of record as, again, Takamatsu Shinji as well. So, again, huge veteran cast for this sort of series. Obviously, they had a lot of money for this, but it's interesting to see all of them line up here. The voice acting cast is actually obviously it's mostly known names, but it's a slightly older cast, and it's not how do I say this? It's not the flavor of the month cast. I want to say it's not the usual, Ayane Sakura, Itomiku, how do I say, Amamiya Sora. It's not that, or Nobunaga Shinozaki, stuff like that. It's not that sort of cast. It's a slightly older cast, a slightly less prominent cast these days in terms of Katsuki Konishi as Helck, Ishita Akira, who's also I think also had a role in My Happy Marriage that Nier mentioned as recently, just now. Hirakawa Daisuke, so on and so forth. A slightly older cast, although um, Aimi is doing a voice in the role of Iris. But yeah, anyways, uh, just going over quickly audiovisuals. Opening is it's My Soul by Nanami Hiroki. Pretty good, standard J Rock kind of stuff. Nothing really to write home about, but definitely something that you can kind of throw into your iPhone for, a listen. Uh, ending is Status. I think that's how you pronounce it. Status by Saji. Pretty good ending. Again, very standard male J-pop, but compared to a lot of other EDs where it's just like stuff is putting you to sleep, it's definitely a little bit more tolerable to listen to. So please do, I guess, check both of them out there. I did actually like. It's been a while since I liked the ending as well, so or ending for a series as well, or rather, didn't sleep through the ending is how I want to describe it. But both of them are pretty good. So, anyways, uh, going through OST is pretty fine, and it comes with proper key times. Obviously, again, sound director and music being both music people being huge, veterans of the industry. They focus a lot more on like orchestral choral kind of arrangements. A lot of it's pretty interesting. It's like there's like mostly silence into suddenly sort of like these heroic orchestral themes whenever Helck, the hero, kind of comes in and tries to do stuff. So again, nothing to really complain about at all. Um, the visuals are also good as well with good animations and character designs. And these character designs often don't dilute, I want to say, the original manga character designs. And some of you guys might be thinking, wow, what the hell are you talking about? Like diluting character designs. If you guys have seen stuff like Shokugeki no Soma or um, something like Netuge, right?
Yeah.
You guys will know what I'm talking about. There's this sort of need for character designs to be a little bit more simplified. Obviously, a lot of times character designs for anime, the people who are drawing those character designs are pretty much always different from the character designers of the original like manga or the light novel or visual novel or web novel, right? So um, you'll see quite a noticeable difference in terms of, I don't want to say quality, but like how things are drawn sometimes, unless they draw it pretty much straight one to one. It's pretty much usually one or the other. There's either a really big difference and it's usually a downgrade in terms of quality, or it's they try to get it as close as possible. But oftentimes, again, because there's a lot of these animation restraints, right? These sorts of characters need to be running around doing all the plays, and it's not a static picture, right? Um, a lot of the quality kind of gets diluted. And thankfully, that was not the case in Helk. So I'm glad that it kind of held up there as well. So, anyways, doing a real quick summary of the, yeah, doing a real quick summary of the story. So, the Demon King was defeated by a hero, but then the demon world is trying to look for a new Demon King while kind of being on the back foot against the human kind of race, right? So it's the standard demons versus humans kind of stuff. But for some reason, one of the heroes, human heroes, Helk, has come to the demon races, the demon tribes, and gone like, "Hey, I want to be, um, I want to be a demon lord. I want to compete in the tournament to become demon lord because I hate humans." And the main heroine, uh, Vermilio, Vermilion, um, yeah, I think it's Vermilio, or like Vermilion or something like that. Uh, who is one of the four heavenly kings? Like yeah, there's like usually four heavenly kings or demon generals. There's that sort of setting. She's one of the four heavenly kings, and she's just like, well, that's stupid. Why would a human hero hate all humans so much that he wants to become the demon lord? Obviously, it's some sort of ruse. So then um there's this distrust, and Vermilio is trying to find out why Helk wants to help the demon kind and wants to sort of destroy humans so much. And on top of that, the mystery deepens in the background. because humans are starting to disappear from these like various towns, and a bunch of winged knights are kind of from the human side are swooping in and trying to destroy the demons. And so the general story is a mix of trying to find out where these winged knights are coming from and why the humans are disappearing, finding out why Helck hates all the humans so much and wants to help out the demon kind so much. And there's like a bunch of slapstick comedy. So the lights, there's like this light slapstick, etc. Very like kind of childish sophomore comedy. It's tolerable, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's great or it's something that I want to really watch over and over again. It's very, 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 very childish. Um, a lot of the I have personally have a pretty. So the first point I want to make is I personally don't think the whole demon tribes versus human stuff is really that interesting at the beginning. Um Later on, like post I want to say episode 7 when the mystery of the white knights flying around and stuff like that become more evident, um it becomes I guess slightly more interesting, but not even that it's just like because without trying to without s- I'll try to resist spoiling the events in the anime, but the way the White Knight stuff gets resolved is pretty much similar to how it would how this sort of problem would get resolved in really most other, isekais or fantasy series kind of situations. So I wasn't really impressed by the problem, and I also wasn't really impressed by the overall solution that um the anime series showed in episode 8, 9, 10, or whatever. So that was kind of points down. But also one thing I really it was very unfortunate about Hulk, and this obviously plagues a lot of other um web novel, light novel, and manga series as well, is that the pacing of the development and how they're yeah, the pacing of the development, how they get to the core of the series is way too slow, which is like we know from the very beginning that there's this that Helk is a human, and part of the story is figuring out why the hell he wants to kill humans or become the demon lord. So it's okay if Vermilio gets in with Helk and kind of does this like back and forth real quickly and tries to do a lot more back and forth and only gets to it way later down the road, gets truth on that or way later down the road. That's sort of okay with me. But Vermilion and Hulk don't even really start properly interacting and setting up for that character development and setting up for that sort of will they won't they back and forth like, oh Hulk, why are you so mad at the humans? They don't even start that really until episode 4, which is in my opinion a little bit ridiculous. This uh, the fact that you don't even start or even show hints of starting that sort of main central character development until episode 4 and still do the tiptoes like, wait a minute, he has to hate demons. He can't possibly hate humans, and do that sort of like rigmarole shtick. And it's like the we need to really be careful. Doing that sort of shtick for like 3, 4 episodes. That's not that impressive to me, and also that's not to me that doesn't count as part of the actual main proper start of the character development. So that was very frustrating. And the sort of the other side of the story of Helk, which is the development of the whole demon versus humans. What are the humans up to? How the heck do the demons counter it? Stuff like that. That didn't even really rev up until episode 7. Beforehand, it was like 6 episodes of foreshadowing plus demon. demons are actually kinder than you think, and the whole, the very standard, like, oh, you
So,
thought demons were bad, but they're not, stuff like
what's
that.
the focus of it? Is this a comedic or is it more action?
There's a decent amount of like comedy stuff in it, but that's not even it's just like the comedy stuff is like a strong undercurrent to set the tone of it slightly, but a lot of it before episode 4 and even after episode 4 up until episode 7 and even onwards after episode 7, a lot of the episodes are kind of just it's just like a waffling around and vague force. So
Right.
it's a lot of, oh, humans could be up to something. Hell, he has a dark past behind him, stuff like that. And it's just like, uh, just get there, man,
Yeah.
or like do say something. Or it's just like they'll be kind of talking to each other, and it'll be kind of quote unquote fleshing out the sort of nature of the world, right? Like, oh, some demons can do this, or some humans think like this, or the heroes kind of you know were like this, or stuff like that. But it's again, all of that is pretty much all waffling around that, plus the rom com, or not the wrong, excuse me, the slapstick comedy stuff, plus the vague foreshadowing of, oh, he's carrying a dark past. That's why he hates the humans. You gotta make sure you're careful with him, because he's very powerful, but he also hates the humans. Well, like all that waffling around and like the whole, we trust him. What are the humans up? Like again, just too much waffling around at the same
Yeah.
time. And it's just very frustrating because for me, even hearing that to begin with, regardless, like even putting the pacing aside, hearing that sort of, he has dark past behind it. Oh, but the demons are actually pretty friendly compared to the humans. The humans have a surprisingly nasty side. And hearing that to begin with already kind of puts me in a bad mood because that's
Yeah, I mean
very
it's
standard. It's very
it's been
formulaic,
done how
right?
who knows how many times, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's already before we talk about the pacing issues. That's already very formulaic. But to then leave me hanging with the same sort of stuff until episode 4, until episode 7, and even now, episodes 8, 9, 10 is a build up to get back to the original plot. It's like a weird set of like journey kind of thing. Like Hulk and Vermilion are currently on this sort of like journey. Again, I will try not to spoil. Is sort of on this journey where it's like they're going through a bunch of random crap, but that's all just like very slow kind of sidetrack story to get back to where they were originally, where the real meat of the story began. So it's just like this getting derailed, this vague waffling, the foreshadowing, all of this stuff is just very, very, very frustrating. And I think it really takes away from a lot of what this series could offer. I think if this series was just paced pretty briskly, it would have gotten, two thumbs up from me. I think it would have gotten at least an 8 out of 10 from me. But as it is, it's just too much, man. It's just too vague, too much foreshadowing, too much will they, won't they kind of weird I don't want to say sexual tension because there's not really a wrong here. Um, this weird like tease, right? Uh, it, you can again, the problem doesn't have to be resolved by episode 3, but you guys have to start the character development, the serious character development, to aim for resolving conflict by an early episode. Just you guys cannot give me 3 episodes of foreshadow. That's just crap. It's just not good. So I think obviously a lot of the problems probably came from um, the original source material as well. Again, this being his, I don't know, his first work, and maybe he's a little bit not used to it. Obviously, he's like a light novel writer, but or sorry, a manga artist. But I think also there are probably some storyboard slash script transitions that maybe didn't work out properly. Um, Again, it was a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, that's sort of all the problems I had, and there's not really much other than say to say other than that. A lot of pacing slowdowns, a lot of too much vague foreshadowing, and stuff like that. So I would say overall, I would have to give it maybe a. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's like the way the characters are set up and the general premise and how it could go. And there's always like a possibility that the fun, this like the joy I get from seeing this series could shoot up to the moon. It has that sort of potential. But right now it's just not well written. So I think I would have to give it a 4 out of 10. This one. But yeah, that was sort of my quick rundown on Helk. Again, I I wouldn't really recommend it to people. I want to see how it resolves myself, but I just can't. I can't recommend it to people. It's just too messy. The pacing is too whack. So yeah, that was Helk again, the manga original. It was adapted by Satellite Studios with help from Studio Tulip on a lot of like the background art stuff like that. So, yeah, I would suggest maybe reading the manga first if you do want to check it out. So that's pretty much my opinion on it.